Virgo season is here. Our new moon in Virgo is this weekend. We've got Mercury and Venus changing signs this week. All of this and more in this week's Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of September 15th through the 21st. My friend, we are diving into what this week has in store for us in Sidereal Astrology. If you're looking for the bigger view of our September, then be sure to check out the September forecast that talks about all of this and more of what is happening in September. My friend, welcome back to The Cosmic Mystic, where we blend strategy and soul work for healers, coaches, conscious leaders who are building soul-aligned businesses and lives that support their mission. I am Danny Simonis, creator of the Inner Alchemy Method, a 5-stage journey to soul-led sovereignty, where deep healing, my friend, diving deep, meets embodied leadership. I absolutely love guiding high-achieving, introverted spiritual women to reclaim their power in shifting all the things, embodying their truth, and leading from within. My friend, for over 12 years, I have supported hundreds of conscious leaders in doing the deep soul work. And this is why the channel is here, because we are looking at how to navigate the inner world and the outer world in all the things that we do. So if you are new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get notified when a new video is posted, which I try to do these forecasts on Mondays, and we have more on the channel here on Wednesdays with our Rise and Align series and the podcast. So if you are catching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see the charts. You'll be able to see my faces throughout this video. If you are catching this on the podcast, then you'll be able to hear everything. Take me on your walk while you're working, folding laundry, doing the dishes, the things you do around the house, or whatever it is that you do during podcasts. I've heard it all. Then you can take me with you there. So we've got the Cosmic Mystic podcast and the channel here on YouTube. Both platforms have different things on them. So you'll find, I've had this channel on YouTube for a while, so you'll find some past hypnosis recordings and mindset teachings, as well as our Rise and Align series with our somatic breathworks. You'll find other breathworks on here. And you'll also find on the podcast interviews with other soul-led business owners and their journeys into spirituality in helping them overcome whatever it was that they struggled with and who they are now and what they're doing. So again, lots of content for you, lots of things for you to dive into. So if you are somebody who loves to learn about yourself, who loves to open up your perspective, who loves to think bigger, then this channel is for you. All right, let's do my favorite thing to do, which is our state of the planets. The state of the planets is just, where is everybody hanging out as we kick off this week? Where are we at? So let's see where everybody is. As we kick off, we come over here. I always love to start with our sun. You'll see Mercury has moved into Virgo. Our sun is at 28 degrees Leo. So we are on the final moments here of our Leo season. Our south node is in Leo. Our Venus is kicking off in Leo, so she just moved into Leo. We've got Jupiter here at 26 degrees Gemini. Jupiter will be shifting signs in October, and that will be a big shift. It'll be for about a year. We'll talk about that in our October overview. We've got our moon kicking off here in Gemini this week, so all the thoughts. We've got Uranus here in Taurus, Chiron here in Aries, and these are both retrograde, along with Neptune and Saturn, who have been hanging out in Pisces for a bit now. They're still both retrograde. Our north node in Aquarius, Pluto over here retrograde in Capricorn, and Mars moving into Libra. So Mars just moved into Libra. We're going to talk about that as well. All right, my friend, let's dive into our first aspect that I want to get into is this one that comes in today, right here on the 15th, and that is this opposition over here to Saturn. Now, we've talked about the Mercury conjunction that's pulling away now. We've talked about this sextile to Jupiter. We talked about that last week and in the September overview. So this week we're going to talk about this opposition to Saturn. Now, whenever I talk about an opposition, I always want to remind you that an opposition is simply when the two planets have the same goal, but are approaching it completely different. They are going about it in their own unique ways, and it's creating tension here. So in this particular opposition, when we're talking about the Sun and Saturn, which will be in play for this week through the beginning of next week, it's actually for about 9 days, so through the 26th of September, this could potentially, there could be some struggle here. It could be some restrictions here because Saturn does like to show us our boundaries. And so it can feel as if things are being really restricted, things are being really hard to overcome, like you're really noticing those limitations. It might make it harder for you to express yourself. You might feel in a sense of loss or grief or worry or even low self-esteem is something that can come into play here. The need for connection with the desire to have distance could be here as well. Wanting to break free from those challenges, break free from those limitations, break free from those responsibilities. There is that desire here because the Sun is like bringing this into the consciousness for us to move through, for us to identify, realize, say, okay, I'm realizing there's a limitation here. Now, what can I do about it, right? Taking that next step. If we don't, my friend, in the first step of healing is awareness. We have to be aware that something is there, that there is a block, a limitation, a restriction of some sort in how I'm perceiving something or how I'm viewing something. We have to know that that is there before we can do anything about it. So that is what Saturn is here to do. So I want you to reframe that idea of, oh, Saturn, he's going to bring all this heaviness and this darkness. No. He is just showing us something that maybe we just haven't been able to see quite yet. All right, moving on. Let's talk about our Sun moving into Virgo because the Sun is going to move into Virgo right here on Wednesday the 17th and will be in Virgo. So it's moving through the constellation of Virgo till October 16th. This is Virgo season in Sidereal Astrology. So first off, happy birthday to my Virgos. I have quite a few clients that are Virgos and I absolutely love my Virgos. They are absolutely great at catching the little things that I miss. So Virgo is an earth sign. So it is the element of earth. So there is a groundedness to this sign and a practicality to this sign because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. And when we think of Mercury, Mercury is our thinking, our processing, that logical, mental energy here. And so with that connection to Earth, it's really grounded, really practical. It's a hard working sign. Now, its modality is mutable, which means it can move with things. It is very adaptable and flexible and can move, right? So it's not like a Taurus who can get really stuck and really fixed. It's a fixed modality, so it's getting really fixed on something and it's hard to budge it. Virgo's like, okay, let's move through this. I see that we can flow through this differently. Now, one of the really beautiful things of Virgo is that it is all about perfecting things. It loves to create new systems and structures and processes for things. So this season, we might look at our daily habits. How are our daily habits serving our greater good? As a matter of fact, I wasn't going to show this, but this fits right in. I'm reading the book right now, U Squared by Price Pritchett. It's an absolutely beautiful book on taking quantum leaps, increasing your personal effectiveness. And so this is really beautiful as I think about the habits, the things that I am doing right now during Virgo season and how those can propel me. Because my friend, our daily habits, the things that we do every day, stacking those up and stacking those up and stacking those up is what's going to make the change in our lives, right? The actual action, not just the thinking about it, not just the visualizing of it, but then taking that action. Now, when I say perfecting, right, it's really good at making things better. Now, the flip side of that, the shadow side of that, is that it can constantly think that it needs to perfect things, that things aren't good enough. And so there could be this sense of, I have to get it right, I have to get it perfect, it has to be right, it has to be exactly perfect. And we can get into that place of perfectionism and analysis paralysis, where we're over analyzing every little detail, every little thing, and it gets in this endless spiral of planning and researching, right? And avoiding implementation, right? This is where we have to lean on some of the other energies in our sky right now to really help us with that implementation, because it can feel like it's not perfect enough. It's good, but it's not perfect, right? It's that perfectionist that wants to keep us in paralysis instead of taking the aligned actions. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't have high standards. I believe we all should have some very high standards, but that high standard can also sometimes be self-sabotage, where we refuse to launch our thing because it's not at 100%, or we refuse to talk about our product or service because it's not 100% yet, right? It's not, I don't have that landing page exactly as I want it. I don't have that funnel exactly as I want it. I'm not going to post that reel on social media because I could edit it better, or I could have said it better. My friend, this is where we could get stuck in Virgo season, and this is why I want to point it out. Now, Virgo energy thrives on creating that detailed system, structure, and process, right? It loves it. There may not be this realizing that our organizational gifts are actual spiritual tools for manifestation and success. I kind of talked about this in, I think it was last week's video, where form and flow, right? It's great to be in the flow of things and being able to flow, right? And to have this, the downloads coming through and to be in that flowy state. And we need the form, we need the structure. And so for those of us that can get a little like flowy and have all the ideas and all the things kind of all over the place, Virgo's here to say, okay, let's get these in order. Let's get a process to this. I've noticed in my business when I am at my best, and what I am doing is when things have been systematized for me, when there is a structure to it, where I can have all these downloads, I can have all these ideas, I can connect into the Akashic records, and I can get this insight. But what am I doing with it? Where is it going? Where is it get contained so that I can come back to, right? And that's what this Virgo season can allow for us to do, is to have some structure. All right. The other thing is service. So Virgo is one of the most hard-working signs, and it is always wanting to be of service to others. So they are natural helpers and servers and givers, and they often undervalue their own expertise, undercharge for their service. So some shadow work for you here. If you step into that, or if you're somebody who is currently undervaluing your own expertise, is where are you playing small? Where do you believe that you don't know enough, right? You don't have all the things yet. I know one of the first things that I did when I first started my business was I worked on my website. I worked on my website and I wanted to get that website so perfect. And what I later realized was that I was avoiding doing the thing that would actually make me money. And that was going out and talking to people, selling my thing, sharing my gifts, right? I was so busy perfecting my website, perfecting my workflows, perfecting my emails, that I wasn't actually helping people, which is why I went into business in the first place, right? So if you find yourself coming over here, right, and doing these other things, you might want to look at what am I, like one of the questions I started asking my Sacred CEO members is, what are you offering? What is your offering this week? What are you inviting people into? Whether that is inviting them into a sales conversation, inviting them into a freebie that you have, inviting them into your podcast, right? Inviting them into something. What are you inviting people in? What is your offer for this week? Because that offer is what can help somebody, right? And then we look at the idea of undervaluing yourself. Where is that playing small? Where are you procrastinating on doing the thing that you know is probably the most important thing in your business? All right, so some of the things that I would invite you to explore this season, and I will talk more about this in our Virgo season podcast episode that will be coming out, so keep a lookout for that. Virgos are also very naturally attuned to their body. And so feeling into your body, this is one of the reasons why the daily somatic awareness practice is one of my favorite practices to do in the day. It's to start my day. It's also one of my favorite things to do with clients. Is one of the first things we do the awareness practice, starting meetings with the awareness practice, because it's a bottom up process. We are tuning into our bodies first, which is the thing that we tend to ignore a lot, right? So we're going to tune into the body first, then we're going to tune into our emotions, and then we're going to look at the stories, the mental mind, the thing that is running, right? We're going to look at those stories. So I would invite you, if you haven't downloaded that audio, I walked through it. You can download that at thepeaceteacher.com, DSAP, Daily Somatic Awareness Practice, DSAP, and you can get that for free. You can also find it here on the podcast. I'll make sure to link down below what episode it is in where I actually walked you through it. Okay, let's move on from the sun, because I could continue to talk about Virgo probably for another hour. So let me move on to another aspect I want to share with you. There's a couple more that are coming in the next couple of days on the 17th and 18th. And this first one here is on the 17th, and this is the opposition here to Neptune. So we saw the opposition with Saturn on the 15th, and now we have this opposition with Neptune, which, because they are conjunct, we knew would be coming in, right? So from the 17th through the 29th, so just at the end of the month, the sun will be in that opposition with Neptune as well. So where we talked about Saturn being to the 26th, Neptune's going to be to the 29th, so a couple days longer. Neptune is where we get into that energy of confusion and deception. So this is where some insecurity can be leading, where discouragement can be leading. We're wanting to avoid ego conflicts here, which can definitely come up with that sun energy. This is a really good time, though, for creativity, for you to tune into your spiritual practices, your rituals that you do. This is a good time to give to others, and how you can be charitable or how you can serve others, especially with that sun being in Virgo. You're not wanting any aggressiveness here. You're not wanting to deal with any assertiveness here. This is like an easy kind of flowing energy. So if you come up against that assertiveness, you're going to want to react, which I would caution you there, because we don't, again, want those ego conflicts. One of the things that I learned, I can't remember the name, Dare to Lead, I believe, there it is, Dare to Lead, is shoot, I forgot her name. She's the one that is currently with the let them theory. I know you know who I'm talking about. She, in that book, Dare to Lead, there's a phrase in there that I took from that book and I will never forget it. And it is clear is kind. And with the sun being opposite Neptune, clear is kind. Clear is kind. That's all I'm going to say, my friend. Clear is kind. Because the more clear you can be with somebody, the less confusion, the less doubt, the less uncertainty that is there, and the less making up stories of what we think they're thinking, and more so of what's actually right. We're just clear. Just put it on the table, as my love loves to say. All right, and the last one here I want to talk about is Uranus. So on the 18th, Uranus is going to come into play right over here with this trine. Now, a trine is these two signs working together. They're both in earth elements, and so they're more working together here. So there's more open-minded here because Uranus is that rebellion, progressive energy that wants to experiment, try new things, right? So there's a heightened intuition here that can allow you to receive some insights or some glimpses into the future. So if you're somebody who is like, I'm not sure what my next step is, I'm not sure what the next thing is, this transit right here, pay attention to those downloads you're receiving, pay attention to the angel numbers that are coming through, the signs, the synchronicities. You know, if somebody's telling you something over and over and over again, like, hey, you should watch this, or hey, you should read this, or hey, I just did this, or I think you might want to do this too. Those, if you keep receiving that, there's clearly there's a message that your guide, your angels, your spirit team is trying to get to you, right? Your higher self is trying to tell you something. Pay attention, my friend. All right, now the last one. Actually, no, let's move on. That was it. I thought there was one more. Let's move on to our moon in Virgo. So on the 21st, our moon is going to be in new moon. You'll see right here it's getting closer. And as we get to the 21st here we go. This actually takes place on the 21st. And when we're talking about a new moon, anytime we're talking about a new moon, we are talking about the conjunction of the sun and the moon. So every month this happens, right? Because our moon moves so fast that every couple of days, it is in a new zodiac sign. So the new moon is an opportunity for us to set a new intention. It's like the beginning of a cycle, the beginning of a month. Now, as I mentioned earlier with Virgo is very systematic, process-oriented, right? Now, there are some aspects here that we can see that are influencing this new moon. So if I were to just talk about a new moon in Virgo, a new moon in Virgo is like, okay, what systems, processes, structures do I need to get in order this month? What new habits maybe in my daily routine, or how could I be of more service, right? Or where might I be undervaluing myself that maybe it's time for me to raise my prices, right? Any of those things you could easily go off and do. Yet, this particular new moon is being influenced because it's got these connections here. We've got a trine to Pluto, we've got that opposition to Saturn and Neptune, and that trine to Uranus. So those things that I just talked about are all influencing the sun and the moon, this new moon. I like to think of this as, oh, I just realized I'm not sharing my screen. So let me show you my screen as I tell you this. I like to think of this as the sun is hanging out at home, the moon comes to visit. And when the sun and moon are together, they're sharing, they're talking, they're collaborating, right? It's like if you got together with your biz besties and went masterminding, right? It's like you guys are in that room together, you're connecting, you're sharing. Now, let's say you guys are together and you wanted to invite some more friends. You wanted to invite Pluto and Saturn and Neptune and Uranus, so you guys all hop on Zoom. Now they're influencing, but they're showing up in their own way. Because we're talking about an opposition, Saturn and Neptune might be the ones pushing you back, might be the ones that are challenging you on an idea, where Uranus and Pluto are here supporting that idea, right? And so their input is going to be different. So here I'm seeing some systems revolutions, so changing changing the way that you're leading your business strategy. Because we have these influences, especially this influence with Neptune of that intuitiveness, that allowing intuition, allowing that gut feeling, allowing the insights that are coming through to lead you, right? Stop separating the spiritual and the practical and bringing them together. That's to hear me right here. This is what I see. I see the spiritual and the practical come together. Like, hello, this is where strategy meets soul work, right? This is where we come together. This is what we do in Sacred CEO. We bring those two together because we want to alchemize, right? The two things. They are not, it's not like I have to go practical or I have to go intuitive. It's both. And how can we do that? That is what this new moon is asking you to do. How can you innovate things with the spiritual and the practical? How can you have your transformation of how you serve people? How can you bring in both of those elements? All right, let's keep going on because we've got a few more to talk about. And that is our Virgo, Mercury in Virgo in particular. So right here at the beginning of the week, what you saw, I'm over here in September when I should be over here in September. There we go. In September, right here, hello. Let me shift that. Because I'm on the wrong, I'm like, why isn't it showing up? Because I'm on the wrong sign. Right here on the 15th, our Mercury moved into, it was actually overnight on the 14th into the 15th. The Mercury moved into Virgo. So let's talk about Mercury in Virgo because Mercury, again, is our thinking and processing. And just really quick here, all the things that I've said about Virgo now apply to Mercury. And if Mercury being our consciousness, being how we process information, how we think things through, that logical part of us, that processing of mental energy, this is in Virgo. So we are thinking. So not only are we conscious of the systems and the structures in our life, Mercury is also having us think about how the systems and processes, thinking about how we structure things. So if you're getting into that place of like, oh, I need to upgrade my system in this, right? My morning routine, my evening routine, how I onboard clients, my social media, how I do social media, my emails, my workflows, how I send email reminders to people for sessions or appointments, right? That flow, how are we doing that? And how are we communicating our messaging, our message, whatever our message might be. So there is this process here of wanting to get into the details of things. And I'm going to caution you that sometimes when you can't figure something out, it's because you are in the weeds, my friend, and it's time to step out of the weeds and look at the bigger forest, okay? And that's one of the things that can be a little bit more challenging, which is why I want to tell you now, because you might start getting into the little details and really truly missing the bigger picture. Okay, learn to trust the first draft, my friend. Learn to trust the first draft. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, and these two are here on the 16th, which is Uranus and Pluto. We see them here on the opposite sides as we talked about with that new moon energy. So Uranus is opening the mind to new possibilities, new chances, like stimulating things, making things more electrifying and exciting, intuition being on point right here. And then with Pluto over here on the other side, Pluto is bringing in more of that power of concentration on a mental level, power of influence, power of focus. So focus, you could think of focus, you could think of influence. There's also a little bit more seriousness here when it comes to thinking about things. One of the things that I love to use this particular transit for, which is here from the 16th through the 21st, is uncovering those those little things. So doing the research, doing the investigation, exploring something more is really primed, not only with Mercury in Virgo, but also because of this aspect right here. Now, the one thing I will say is that because Pluto can be a little bit obsessive, there is obsessive tendencies here to really dive in on researching something and blocking out distraction. Now that could be good or bad, right? So in some ways that can be great because you're like, oh, I'm really gonna focus in and I'm really going to, really uncover this thing or dive into this thing. And on the flip side, you could be oblivious to maybe your relationships and the people around you. So I do wanna give you a little bit of caution there. Now, the next planet I want to dive into is Mars, and then we're going to talk about Venus in Leo. So Mars does have this aspect right here that comes in with Pluto on the 15th, and we'll be here till the 2nd of October, which is why I wanted to let you know, because whenever we have a little bit longer, a couple weeks, it's going to influence us for a little bit, and we're going to see it linger, right? This one right here, because we're talking about two very masculine energies, we can see power struggles and confrontations come into play here. Because this is a square, they are not agreeing, right? They're not agreeing at all. They are not on opposite sides as these two are. But if you think about a square, this is a 90-degree angle. This is a sharp, right? It's a sharp angle. And so you're trying to dominate or intimidate here. This could be that power struggle of one trying to gain control over the other. This is where we need to release some energy because both of these planets can get very hot. Pluto being in Capricorn, it's a little bit more reserved, and Libra being in Mars being in Libra, a little bit more reserved, but the energy is still there. So with that Pluto though, it could be kind of underlying, right? It could be that passive aggressive type energy. And so we want to be very, very mindful of that as well. All right, let's talk about our Venus and moving into Leo as we come to the end of our Sidereal Astrology forecast. There was a lot to talk about, my friend. So we've got Venus in Leo. And Venus moved into Leo here on the 15th, and she will be here through the 9th of October. So we've got a good 3 weeks plus here with her. So some of the things that Venus rules over are money, finances, right? It rules over beauty, attraction, love. And when it's in Leo, it's that magnetic energy because Leo is so grand and so royal and right wants to be seen and heard and understood. And so this is where we have that natural magnetic energy where we can attract our clients to us, attract abundance to us, attract prosperity, right? We can attract the things that we want through that magnetic energy. Excuse me. Okay, moving on. So there is a innate understanding with this energy, with Venus being here in Leo, of luxury, of quality, of premium. And so from a branding perspective, this is a really good way of bringing those aspects if you're or showing how your brand might be of quality, might be premium, might be luxury, right? In also allowing you to show how you might be higher priced than your competition because, right, you are quality or you are premium. Self-expression in your branding, in how you're viewing things, how people are viewing your things, I should say, is key here because Leo is all about self-expression, right? So it's got to really be with you. Now, my good friend, Christine Moe, she's been on the podcast a couple of times. She is a brand strategist, brand and business strategist, and she works with color analysis. And one of the things that she told me is I had changed my coloring to a softer palette and she didn't like it. And I was like, what is it? And as I've been exploring that color palette more, I can feel why, because it's not truly authentic to me. I am not a, soft pink type person. I have white. It's been a real struggle for me to get to white things, right? It's always been black and dark for me. And so, having white has been a huge, huge change for me. But it contrasts, right, some of the things that I wear, because I tend to wear brighter colors or darker sense colors. So that creates this contrast, right? And so my authentic expression, though, is in those darker colors. And so it would look weird for me to, and it wouldn't be authentic for me to show up in a really soft pink or a really light beige. That just is not my coloring. I'm a bold color. And so that's one of the things that kind of stands out. And that when she told me that, I was like, wow, that makes a whole lot of sense, right? So this right here is making sure it's in authenticity. That's all that I would invite you into, is looking at your brand, and is it authentic to you, or are you trying to be something maybe because you think you're supposed to be that because of whatever, right? Relationships are really key here, whether that's relationships being with a joint partner venture or relationships in your personal life. Those are going to come into play here in how you are showing up and you are expressing yourself in those relationships. So are you letting your partner rule everything, whether that is a JV partnership or a relationship, right? Or are you showing up in that relationship as your authentic self, as you, right? Are you allowing yourself to show up and be in your brilliance? So some of the things to look at. Now, a couple of shadows that I do want to point out here with Venus is the imposter syndrome. We can feel as though we're not confident enough, we're not good enough, we don't have that attraction, magnetism that other people might have. And so that could be some things for you to bring out during this time. Dependency on external validation. This is a big one. So expecting that validation from clients or from peers, and being really overly dependent upon it, because Leo, remember, wants to be seen, heard, and understood. And if it doesn't receive that, it goes into that shadow of victim, right? Giving away too much or undercharging. This is also coming up here with Leo, is giving it all away, right? Not charging, right? And then there's a exchange. If you understand energy, if you work with energy is an exchange, right? Energy cannot be created, it can only be transferred. And so when we're in an exchange with each other, right? I'm giving you something. There's something that has to come back in that way. Now, it doesn't always have to come back from that person, but you're in that energy of it's being reciprocated in some way. And so by you offering your services is also a way for you to give that person that opportunity to return that energy to you. Now, it might not be directly from them. They might share your information with somebody else, and that person becomes a client. So you never know how it is going to be reciprocated to you. But you putting your stuff out there, you also want to have the expectation that it is going to come back to you, and it most likely is going to be from that person again, but not always. So my friend, this has been your Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of September 15th through the 21st. There was a lot in there. We talked about that Sun moving into Virgo, that new moon in Virgo, that Mercury in Virgo, that Mars moving in that Mars with that Pluto square, and Venus moving in to Leo. My friend, I hope you have enjoyed this particular forecast. Remember, these are weekly. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you are called to leave a comment, I would love to hear your takeaways, what you got out of this particular forecast. And remember, rise and align is starting next week on the 22nd, the fall equinox, which we're going to talk about the fall equinox in our next Sidereal Astrology. That Rise and Align the Experience is our 12-week experience to help you step into that next version of you. Not think about her, not visualize her, not dream about her, but actually embody her through somatic practices, through learning and working with our universal laws so that you understand how the universe works, right? We can't have good without bad. We can't, right, have dark without light. Like, these things happen, and learn how to work with them so that you can fully step into that leadership, to that sovereign being, and understand how you do fully create your own reality, my friend. We are diving into all of that in this Rise and Align the Experience. I can't wait to step into this with you, with our support calls, with our belief shifting calls, with our quantum jumps we are going to make as we embody our next version. My friend, you can learn more about Rise and Align the Experience down below, or you can go to thepeaceteacher.com/be her now and get all the details. All right, my friend, until next time, remember to keep shining your unique light.